Hello, everybody, and I am Pastor Clement, and this is my wife, Pastor Mary. And when we remember our pioneering days, where everything have to be done by us, including song leading, handling the worship. Pastor Mary had to play the guitar. Till this point, we have seen tremendous change because now we have a strong worship team. We have others to help us to do what needs to be done to get the church going, including discipleship and evangelism. Actually, there was one very early premise that almost nobody knows, which was when I first came. I came alone, and I rented a shop lot on the first floor at Silibin Road, and there I was staying there. I stayed in one of the room. I was alone, and from there I had several contacts, and with the several contacts, I managed to start a cell group, and also I had one member who, in a way, was associated with our church. That she comes quite often. That was the very beginning, and of course 1 year later we moved to First Garden, inside First Garden, and we were there for 3 years. We grew to about 30-40 people, and the owner wanted back the building, and so that's where we moved to Fair Park, and we were in Fair Park for several years. We experienced growth while we were in Fair Park. We had about, maybe 80 to 100 people, or even more, children, all that. And yes, and then we also had experienced revival. And of course, one of the most significant growth is when we moved to this present building in Sri Rapat. And there we see great growth.
These are things that the church go through to be even stronger, that we have gone through a pandemic and we overcome.
I'm Brother Wong Ching Seong. I first attended the Church of Praise in 1997. When I first came, I was under the impression, is this a church? How can the church have fast music and noisy? And the people were clapping, dancing joyfully. I said, hey, am I in the wrong place? That was during my first visit.
My name is Wing Yin. The time that I'm involved in the ministry, I'm very on fire for the Lord, and I serving the Lord with all my heart. I do many things. I fetch the people, and that is the greatest memory I have with the church.
Morning, Margaret Liang here. It's very different then and now. I remember that the special thing is this. Pastor will say they were worship that time. They will point to the east, the west, the north, and the south. The idea was to bring everybody into the Church of Praise. That time when I came from, we merged to Church of Praise. Pastor Mary was very, very kind and generous and very gentle.
A lot of fond memories where we see many people came to know Jesus by families, from one after another. So I think these are some things that we treasure the most when we see people come to know the Lord.
When you see the hand of God move, when you see signs and wonders and miracles happen, that it's not a work of man, it's just a work of God, and it's just amazing.
Another milestone is when we decided to run our church on a cell group based system, where more responsibility is given to cell leaders in terms of discipleship, evangelism, and caring system. Then there is the miracle of God's provision for the church. From the very beginning, we were struggling financially, we were struggling with few members. We were even struggling in trying to form a worship team, because at that point, there were very few musicians and young people came and go. Especially when we moved to this building, we bought our very own building, beginning only with 40,000 ringgit. We have bought a 1.5 million with renovation thrown in. It cost us 1.5 to 6 million, and this miracle of having paid this whole thing off is really a blessing in disguise. And at the same time, we are now mothering so many mission outreaches in so many different countries. Well, what I'm most proud about this church is really I'm very proud of our people. We are a church that we love God, and we have leaders that are very committed and they want to serve God. The essence of the church means the attitude of our people is that of building the kingdom more than just looking into their own personal agenda or what's in for me. So I think that's what we are most proud of, and that is something that we take years and years and years to build and to instill upon our people, to simply love God and love people.
I'm really very proud of the children's ministry in our church, and really thank God for the people that He gave us to build this ministry. And it's because of lack that we started to have the children serve in the ministry. And because of this, we find that the children have become such great blessings in the children's ministry. And we have seen children's teachers that are as young as 10 years old, 11, 12, and we have seen children's worship leaders as young as 8, is it? 8 years old? Yeah. And it's amazing when we see lives as young as these children grow in their ministry and in their character and spiritual life.
I'm Judy Koo. Yeah, I've been in Church of Praise since end of '88. The closest to my heart is the children's cell. Children's cell were in our houses. We took turns, and it was very close. We had that intimacy and coziness of a family setting, and around 20 to 30 kids would come to our homes every Saturday, and there was such great bonding with the children and with the families, and the children would be bringing their friends and their non-Christian neighbors, and it was such a great time, and they grew and we grew also. Those were good days, very good memories.
With so much of changes happening around the world, either God is challenging our faith and our vision, or maybe He's telling us something else. We have to keep our eyes open, our hearts soft to hear and tender before God, to allow God to continue to lead us and show us what we are going to do the next 10 years. But most definitely, I foresee that we will have more people coming to know Jesus.
In 10 years' time, this church should be a glorious church, one that will glorify God no matter what happens.
For us to last till now, 35 years, I believe it is the miracle of God. And I want to say happy birthday, Church of Praise.
We believe that God will bring us to higher grounds. Each and every one of our members or coming members has a position, has a job to do, because as the end of the days are coming in, we have to send the word of God to the people outside.
Hope, I pray that the Lord will continue to use the Church of Praise to reach out to all communities in Ipoh and Malaysia, and also overseas.
press on, Church of Praise. Press on, you know, and continue to love the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, and your soul, and love people. Just love people with the love of God.